It's Thursday, January 21. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis. Leaders across the island prayed and reflected on the importance of Christian faith and unity at the 41st staging of the National Leadership Prayer Breakfast on Thursday morning. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, the 41st National Leadership Prayer Breakfast was held virtually for the first time. It was live streamed on all of PBCJ's platforms. Marlon Samuels has more in this report.
Government, church and sector leaders gathered for the 41st National Leadership Prayer Breakfast to pray for the country's parliament, citizens, and to ask for God's healing, protection, mercy and blessings on Jamaica. This marks the first time since the event began in 1985, with the support of Victoria Mutual, that the event was held virtually.
The theme of this year's breakfast is quite meaningful: keep hope alive. There is tremendous political and social turmoil impacting the world right now, even as COVID-19 continues its impartial global assault. Scripture teaches us, however, that even in our darkest hours, there is an ever-present help available. There is always reason to keep hope alive.
The main speaker spoke on the theme, keep hope alive, even as our leaders seek courage and infinite wisdom through prayer.
May I suggest that the theme and the text point not only to the fact that hope is a practical reality and a crucial necessity, but also that hope is a mutual responsibility. Yes, a mutual responsibility. Now, I must confess that what I find most interesting and intriguing about this theme this year is that while it specifies what should be done, it does not specify how it should be done and who should do it. Maybe because implicit in the theme is the challenge for each and all of us to take up the task of keeping hope alive as a mutual responsibility. It stands to reason, beloved, that the task of keeping hope alive is for someone, anyone, and everyone. And this is so despite and in spite of our age, our address, our gender, our genealogy, our education or employment, class or creed, political or religious affiliation. So, how do we keep hope alive? May I suggest that first and foremost, we need to be possessors of hope. Possessors of hope.
The free will offering collected at the National Leadership Prayer Breakfast goes towards a named charity each year. This year, the money will be used to support students experiencing challenges in the online learning environment who do not have access to the resources needed.
Now, 2020 and 2021 so far have proved to be challenging times. But I remind you of James 1, verses 2 to 4. It says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you are faced with trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing." This year, to some extent, reminds me of the gap year I took before coming to college. I felt as though I had pressed pause on my life. Many of you feel as though the pandemic has pressed pause on your life. You're enduring many trials. You feel as though your faith is being tested. This is the best time when you feel as though you're at your lowest, as if you can't go on anymore, for you to spend some time alone. And what better time than doing social distancing? During my gap year, I spent so much time alone, doing self-introspection, some reflection, and just meditating on my goals and aspirations. And I got to know myself so much better. I promise you, if you get to know yourself, if you know your identity, if you take the time to hone your God-given talents, then your purpose becomes so much clearer. And nothing, absolutely nothing can stop you. As I close, I leave with you my favorite scripture passage. Proverbs 16 verses 3. Commit to the Lord whatsoever you do, and your plans will succeed. I wish you success in this year.
For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.
Jamaica's ability to attract foreign investment, innovate, develop businesses and services that can compete globally is woven with intellectual property and its supporting innovation ecosystems. Recognizing this, Cabinet has given approval for a project that will create an enabling environment that encourages innovation, competitiveness, and exciting new forms of cultural expression in Jamaica.
Cabinet approved this project to be included in the public sector investment program. For a bit of background, the intellectual property or IP project is part of a broader effort of the government of Jamaica to improve the local business climate and to increase support for promoting an increase in the number of innovative micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises contributing to economic growth. The main aim of the project is to create the conditions for the monetization or commercialization of intellectual property, specifically using intellectual property as collateral. The project will seek to provide valuation guidelines for intellectual property assets and conduct training activities in valuation in order to help fill a key gap in the intellectual property ecosystem. The project is to be executed by the Inter-American Development Bank and Compete Caribbean and implemented by the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, or JIPO.
Cabinet has also given approval for the contribution of $21 million towards the legal fees of 5 members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
The Cabinet's approval also includes the establishment of an interim procedure for the management of contribution to legal expenses incurred by members of the JCF for actions taken during lawfully assigned duties pending the finalization of a formal policy by the Ministry of National Security. It is important to note that from a previous Cabinet submission, it was agreed that the government would not be directly paying the legal fees for police officers with cases before the courts, but would contribute to the Legal Defense Fund for police officers. A legal defense fund had been established through the Heads of Agreement for the contract period 2012 to 2015 between the Government of Jamaica and the 5 police groups. The agreement allowed an injection of $20 million to start the fund. Under the 2017 to 2019 Heads of Agreement between the government and the Jamaica Police Federation, it was agreed that under the heading Legal Defense Fund, the government of Jamaica was prepared to provide the necessary legal support for rank-and-file members brought before the court resulting from the legal challenges arising from the execution of their duties.
Jamaica's GDP declined by 10.7% between July and September 2020 when compared to the corresponding period in 2019. That's the word from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. Melvin Penal has that story.
The economy continued to be negatively impacted by the spread of the novel coronavirus and the measures implemented to control its spread. And a reminder of some of these measures, they included the closure of schools, the prohibition of activities at places of amusement and bars, and the cancellation of entertainment events.
That's Director General of Statin, Coral Coy, delivering the findings of her team's quarterly report. She says the 3.5% decline in the goods and productive industries was mainly attributed to lower output levels in the mining, quarrying, and manufacturing industries. Recreation continues to be impacted by COVID-19 safety measures.
Stopover arrivals declined by 81.8%, and there were no cruise passenger arrivals during the quarter. Value added declined for all industries, with the exception of the producers of government services. Looking at specific industries, the hotel and restaurants industry declined by 65.2% due to a fall in output in hotels and other short-stay accommodation and in restaurants, bars, and canteens. The performance of the hotels and other short-stay accommodation was impacted by the 83.5% reduction in foreign national arrivals.
According to Statin's findings of the labor force survey, unemployment rate for October 2020 was 10.7% compared to 7.2% in 2019. She says the largest number of job losses were in the entertainment, recreation, food, and retail trade.
The number of unemployed males was 60,700, an increase of 40.2%, while the number of unemployed females increased by 44%, or 23,700 to 77,100 persons.
The October labor force survey marked the third such survey to be conducted last year, following the cancellation of April 2020 survey due to the impacts of COVID-19. Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
Countries that signed to the World Health Organization's COVID-19 COVAX facility will have access to 195 million doses of the vaccine between March and June. Director of the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, says it's not enough. We have more in this report.
The amount will be from the 2 billion doses for which the World Health Organization, WHO, has already secured agreements with manufacturers through the COVAX facility for global distribution. Dr. Etienne says the first tranche of doses will not achieve visible impact on COVID-19.
Currently, the doses available for use are very limited and will remain in short supply everywhere as manufacturers race to meet global demand over the next few months.
Dr. Etienne suggests that authorities use the next 6 weeks to prepare to receive and deploy the vaccines.
And not forgetting also that monitoring must be in place, monitoring for adverse events and any unforeseen challenges as well.
Earlier this week, Jamaica's Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, shared details of the country's national COVID-19 vaccine deployment plan.
There will be a phased introduction and deployment of COVID-19 vaccine in the country. 4 phases for the introduction of the vaccine are proposed. These are Phase 1, vulnerable and priority groups, Phase 2, other priority groups and the introduction of vaccine to the general public, and Phase 3 and 4, more of the general population will have access to the vaccine. In Phase 1, 16% of the population is targeted for the vaccine, with the supply of vaccines to be obtained through the COVAX facility.
The PAHO boss says the goal is to start vaccinating citizens in a comprehensive and safe manner.
So far, COVAX has secured agreements for 2 billion doses of vaccines to be deployed this year. This is unprecedented in scale, but also in the fact that the vaccines will reach all participating countries virtually at the same time. At least 7 countries in the Americas are now vaccinating their populations as part of bilateral agreements. COVAX can complement this effort and indeed help other countries to commence immunizations early.
Some countries in the region have already begun vaccinating residents while sending data to PAHO.
We are seeing, for instance, the importance of assessing the readiness of each health facility where vaccines will be distributed and administered. And we're also learning just how critical it is to have strong information systems in place to find target populations and to track vaccinated individuals.
PAHO says 35 million doses are expected in April, 45 million in May, and approximately 95 million in June, noting that these are the latest estimates from COVAX.
As we speak, COVAX is actively negotiating deals with Pfizer, and with further announcements can be expected in the near term.
These actions form part of a COVAX facility signed by over 100 countries. It's designed to accelerate equitable access to safe COVID-19 vaccines. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gale.
On Tuesday, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark outlined Jamaica's progress in meeting recommendations from the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, and motorists will see an increase at the pumps. Gabriel Thompson has the details of these and other stories in this edition of the Business Report.
Spending for the 2020-2021 fiscal year has been cut as a result of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. The spending cuts total $3.5 billion. Speaking Tuesday in the House of Representatives, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, tabled them as outlined in the third supplementary estimates. The overall budget, which stood at $853.83 billion, has been reduced to $850.24 billion. The following ministries will see the biggest spending cuts: Local Government and Rural Development at $809 million, Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries at $360 million, Science, Energy and Technology at $240 million, National Security at $213 million, and Labor and Social Security at $220 million. The estimates will be reviewed by the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee of Parliament on Thursday. Still in the House of Representatives, Jamaica is now compliant or largely compliant with 27 of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force's 40 recommendations. Speaking in the House on Tuesday, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark called this a substantial improvement.
And I am happy to report, Madam Speaker, that Jamaica received upgrades in 12 of those recommendations. While the rating remained unchanged for 6 recommendations, which means there's more work to be done in those areas, and Jamaica received a downgrade in 1 recommendation as a result of changes in the requirements of that recommendation post the finalization of our mutual evaluation, and I'll say some more about that later. Jamaica is now compliant, Madam Speaker, or largely compliant, with 27 of FATF's 40 recommendations.
Jamaica's mutual evaluation was done in 2015 and published in 2017. The report reflected a substantial number of deficiencies in Jamaica's legislative framework. In December 2020, Jamaica submitted the third follow-up report since its mutual evaluation report was published in early 2017, earning the upgrades. Dr. Clark says there is more work to be done.
Now, Madam Speaker, it should be noted that Jamaica needs to be compliant or largely compliant with at least 32 out of 40 recommendations to come out of the follow-up process with CFATF. So we're still in CFATF's follow-up, and next year we'll have to report again, and hopefully we'll be able to apply for a re-rating. And if we can go from 27 to 32, then we'll be out of the CFATF process.
The Caribbean Financial Action Task Force is an organization of states and territories within the region which have agreed to implement common countermeasures against money laundering and terrorism financing. According to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam, motorists should see an increase at the pumps in the prices of gasoline and diesel effective Thursday, January 21. Following an increase of 82 cents each, 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $115.93 and $118.76 per liter, respectively. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $116.47 per liter, following an increase of $1.46, while ultra-low sulfur diesel is up by 94 cents and will be sold for $120.16 per liter. Kerosene saw a price increase of 55 cents and will be sold for $92.40 per liter. After an increase of $1.64, propane liquid petroleum will be sold for $54.98 per liter, and butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $52.66 per liter after an increase of $2.15. Expect price changes as marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup to these prices. In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE combined index declined by 753 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 78 stocks, of which 39 advanced, 26 declined, and 13 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 9 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica, 1834 Investments Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company Limited. Stocks declined for Barita Investments Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica, and Blue Power Group. Trading firm were AMG Packaging and Paper Company, Caribbean Producers Jamaica, and Derrimon Trading Company. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial was the volume leader with 2.1 million units, followed by Jamaica Broilers Group with over 2 million units and QWI Investments Limited with 1.7 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Wednesday, January 20, ended trading at $146.14. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $115.33. The pound sterling traded for $199.08, and the euro ended trading at $179.35. Oil slipped on Thursday after industry data showed a surprise increase in U.S. crude inventories that revived pandemic-related demand concerns, but United States stimulus hopes limited the price downturn. Brent crude futures fell 47 cents to $55.61 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures dropped 43 cents to $52.88 a barrel. And that does it for Thursday's edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
A buzzword across the globe is superfoods. Superfoods are nutrition-dense foods offering a wide range of health benefits. Several Jamaicans have entered the superfoods market using CMOS. We hear about one company, Tropical Superfoods, in this edition of Culinary Trails.
We are Tropical Superfoods. We are the producers of a sea-based product known as the CMOS. This is a powerful, all-natural and organic nourisher of minerals and vitamins that supports the immune system. The ingredients are simple: CMOS and alkaline water. We also infuse local fruits for added vitamins. Let me make it clear. No sugar or artificial sweetener is included in this supplement. This superfood came about in March when we had our first COVID-19 outbreak. The owners started including CMOS in their daily meals, and they noticed more energy, stabilization of their blood pressure, and it helps in digestion. So they thought people would also benefit from this immune boosting food. Growing up in Jamaica, we hear about Irish mush drink, but never really include it in our daily diets. But now it is readily available and so versatile with Tropical Superfoods. This superfood supports your digestive system, increases immunity, excellent for weight loss. It is great for your skin. It nourishes the skin, your hair, your nails. It's a good nourisher for the entire body and inside and outside. We do it in the form of a gel, and it is infused with fruits. Soursop, we have it in many different flavors. We have it in the soursop, we have it in the mango, we have it in pineapple, and also natural herbal products like the bladder walker. That's a tea bush that is widely used throughout the Caribbean region. Bladder walker, and we also have it in dragon fruit as well. People ask about the taste. It's odorless. It contains fruit, so you taste mainly the fruit base in it. And it's something that is pleasant to our taste buds. It's nothing for you to cringe. When people hear about supplements, they say, oh, maybe it's gonna have a bad taste or left a bad taste in your mouth, but no, it's very pleasant. Whenever you're gonna do a smoothie, it's quite simple. You take the fruits, you place it into a blender, all the ingredients with your ice, and you just add a spoonful or two spoonfuls of the product in the smoothie and blend it together. And then you pour it and have it. If you're pregnant, this supplement is also mild enough for you to take, but if you're not sure, you can contact your doctor for further advice. But pregnant and lactating mother can benefit from this product because it's all natural. It has no side effects. If you're someone who likes to work out and keep healthy, going to the gym, it's a healthy way to add to your daily routine, so you can take it if you're working out. Going to the gym, it's quite fine. Persons who want to purchase our tropical superfood CMOS products, you can visit our Instagram and Facebook pages at Tropical Foods JA to place your orders. And we also organize shipping or pickup in parishes island-wide. Our products will also be in the pharmacies and supermarkets coming soon. You can infuse it in almost anything. This product is so diverse. You can have it in your soup, you can have it in your something cold or hot, your dinner, coffee, anything of your preference. It's superfood, super great for your body.
The Ministry of Education has begun the distribution of computers to schools across Trinidad and Tobago.
These students across the country have been benefiting from the generosity of corporate citizens, civil society, and individuals. Minister in the Ministry of Education, Lisa Morris-Julian, was on hand at the St. Dominic's Penal RC as yet another organization handed over computer devices.
The government laptops will be coming soon. In fact, some of the distribution already started in that direction. And the dent is, I can't give you exact numbers, but I know it's going down, especially because of the donations of individuals as well as corporate citizens.
Ms. Morris-Julian outlined that each school would use a means test to decide on which students would access government laptops.
The corporate citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, their response has been phenomenal. The minister and myself were extremely impressed. Every week, practically every day at one point, they step forward to give generously to various communities. But I'm also impressed with individuals. For example, in my area, a grandmother, 88 years old, took part of her pension money to donate one tablet.
Parents are being advised to limit the screen time of our youngest students to an hour or less. Minister Morris-Julian added that the ministry was using radio programs, newspaper pullouts, and other methods to vary the learning process. The devices distributed at St. Dominic's Penal RC were donated by the Penal Sports Foundation, which was formed by the school's past pupils. Terry Ann Brown-Campbell, TTT News.
And that's our package. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, for more news and sports right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.